Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters. Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Good morning, everyone out there. This is another edition of Inside Nigeria this morning at the Leadership Podcast Studio. And of course, with me this morning is my co-host, Winifred Ogbebo.
Good morning and welcome to another beautiful Friday morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, we shall be talking about different issues inside Nigeria.
Yes.
All right. And of course, as usual, we are starting on a Friday like this with Nigeria's first Friday newspaper.
But before we start, buddy, did you experience
Traffic
red dot?
Of course, on the airport road this morning.
And they said
It was-
the president is on his way
It was
out.
something else. Yes, they blocked the road for the president convoy to pass, even though the president once told us that he does not like inconveniencing
Exactly.
Nigerians. But
Anytime
today,
he wants to go,
we saw that.
traffic should move normally and they shouldn't block road.
And you know that was avoidable. We
Unfortunately,
could have just used a
something-
copter from the Aso Rock Villa
to the
to
airport.
the presidential wing at the airport and fly out of the city. Well,
It's one of those things.
yeah, like I said, we're starting with Nigeria's first Friday newspaper, the Leadership Friday. On the front page of Leadership this morning, Masari's self-defense call. It's better to buy arms than to pay ransom, says Katsina government. Masari's self-defense call. It's better to buy arms for self-defense than to pay ransom, says Katsina State government. You know,
Yes, yesterday he called for self-defense, that people should protect themselves, defend themselves from bandits or kidnappers. And given the fact that he's talking, given the backdrop of the fact that banditry has become incessant in the state, and at the time he said he raised alarm that even him, as the governor of the state, is not even safe in government house body. That is what is actually playing out now. Most statesmen, we also had T.Y. Danjuma in times past,
who says so
who
earlier.
also called for
Also,
self-defense.
Benue State government,
Benue State
Governor Samuel Otom
yes,
also once called for self-defense.
Self-defense.
And this story actually happened at the Leadership Podcast Studio yesterday.
yes.
The governor spoke about 3 days ago
That's what I'm saying.
in Jibia. Then we spoke with his special advisor on security, Honorable Ibrahim Ahmed Kassina, who spoke with us on our other program called The Big Issue yesterday to clarify the stance of the governor about self-defense. And he said, well, see, it is a constitutional right, self-defense. And of course, Winifred, the law of nature, the first law of nature is
Self-survival. Yes.
self-preservation. So he said the idea is also being backed by the Constitution.
It is.
You can't allow somebody to kill you
Because
while
it's
you just
become
meekly
incessant.
submit to him.
Exactly.
And he's saying also that it's better to buy arm to protect yourself than to pay millions of naira as
But
ransom
you
to
see how
kidnappers.
much kidnappers are taken from victims, families of victims.
We have
They are
created
millions upon
wittingly
millions.
or unwittingly what
I
we
think-
call the violence economy.
Exactly. I was reading from a state. It said kidnappers have collected about how many billions from victims' families?
Hundreds of billions now because they
Yes.
collect them in hundreds of millions of naira.
So I quite understand where Katsina State governor is coming from. Honestly, things have reached a head, and your security should be your personal prerogative now. Since I wouldn't say that security state apparatus has failed. In a way, they also have their hands stretched because
Well,
there are so many.
he said they didn't fail. It's just
Right.
that they want people
So
to
many-
also own up
Yes.
and own security of life and property. That is no longer a sole responsibility of the government. Winifred, we'll come back to this story when our analysts arrive at the studio. We are waiting in
It's caught up in the
traffic, Abuja traffic. Yeah, exactly. And so because of that, we'll move to the sister publication of the Leadership, which is the national economy. And we have people who are waiting to join us to discuss the front page story.
Yes. We move to national economy. That is sister publication of Leadership newspaper. And the national economy has on its cover port server malfunctions cost importers 200 billion naira in 2 weeks. port server malfunctions. Talking about Nigerian Port Authority, that is the port server now has malfunctioned, and it cost importers 200 billion naira in 2 weeks. The story has at its rider, shippers divert cargoes to Cameroon, others.
Well, Winifred, because malfunctioning of server at the Nigerian port, now importers have incurred in the last 2 weeks demurrage to the tune of 200 billion naira in 2 weeks. And this is inefficiency, and I don't know why they should be paying for somebody else's inefficiencies. The server actually belongs to the Nigerian Customs Service, and it is meant to actually facilitate trade, make clearance of cargoes faster within 24 or 48 hours, then maximize revenue at our port. But now, in the last 2 weeks, we learned the server, the internet connectivity there is no longer there. And
for
of course,
2 weeks now.
Yes.
Good 2 weeks.
No facilitation, no clearance of cargoes. And for those who do not want to pay demurrage, they are not diverting their cargoes to neighboring countries, Cameroon, Togo, Benin Republic, and the rest of them. This is not good for the economy. But joining us this morning to help shed more light on the development is the national economic correspondent in Lagos, Yusuf Babalola. Yusuf, good morning. Welcome to Inside Nigeria.
Hello.
Hello.
Yusuf,
I can hear you. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Welcome to Inside Nigeria.
Yes, thank you very much for having me this morning.
Yeah, Yusuf, you wrote the story on the front page of the National Economy this morning.
Yes.
That server malfunction, and it's costing importers 200 million naira in the last 2 weeks. Bring us up to speed as to the implication of the development.
Yes, it's 200 billion naira in the last 2 weeks. And the reason is not far-fetched. And the software provider for the Nigerian Customs Service, Web Fontaine, have for the past few weeks now have been experiencing server failure, and that has trapped a lot of cargoes at the port because you can access customs cargo customs, and if you can't access the custom platform, there's no way you can exit your cargo. There's no way. So importers are paying huge demurrage on containers, and they are also paying another storage charges on storing of their containers in the terminals, in the various terminals, because the terminal is a transit point. Drop your cargo bat, your ship bat, cargo has been dropped in the terminal. You have 3 days free period. Within that 3 days, if you refuse to pick your cargoes out of the port, you'll be charged for allowing your container to be at the port. Now, you can't access custom server, custom platform, because the server is bad. So in the last 2 weeks now, it has been, even let's just say in the last 1 month, it has been serious. It has been very difficult for importers, for clearing agents to clear the cargo out, and for importers to have their consignment. Now, what are they doing? They're diverting their cargo to neighboring countries. Just because also on vessels, if your cargo should stay, because if this thing continues, then the terminals will be filled to brim, and there won't be a way for you to discharge your cargo.
There will be congestion.
There will be congestion, exactly. So, and you'll be surcharged. Any 1 hour that a ship spent in another country, you are going to be charged for it. The importers will be charged for it. So because of that, they are diverting to neighboring countries. When they divert to neighboring countries, they will now use smaller vessels to bring it down to Nigeria. Yes, they are still incurring costs. And Nigeria is a market. And majority of Nigerian land borders has been shut. So if they are not shut, they can come in through the border, pay the necessary duty, and drive in their consignment. But now, some of these borders has been shut. So there's nothing to do. You face this hardship of server failure. You face this hardship of server failure, and you're going to pay more. You pay more, and it's coming down to the final consumer. That is just the truth about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Yusuf Babalola. So what is the authority doing to remedy the situation?
Yeah, what is happening is not in the power of the Nigerian Customs Service, because it's not the Nigerian Customs Service that gave Web Fontaine the contract. So clearing agents have been calling for sack of Web Fontaine, because the Web Fontaine has been having serious server issues. I think for some time now. At times they will have a stable network. In the next maybe 1 or 2 months, after sometimes you will see them having same issues. So clearing agents have been saying, please take this thing away from Web Fontaine, Federal Ministry of Finance. Take this thing away from Web Fontaine, give it to another service provider that can offer this service. But you know, this is a contract issue. It's not something you can just come one day and terminate. Maybe if the contract expires, then we can see government saying, "Oh, we are taking this thing away. We are giving it to Web. We are taking it to another IT firm that can do a good job." But I don't think we in the country, I don't think we are lacking IT firms that can do this thing. I don't think so. And if we are, if we are lacking the know-how, then I think we should also look for another IT firm globally, as in another country, maybe in Dubai, in the UK, in the US, that can do this thing. Because the thing is affecting our economy. It comes back to the final consumer. Any amount you ask an importer to pay on a particular consignment, he will pay, because he knows it's coming back to the market and he's going to get his money back from there. But if he now sees that, oh, this doesn't worth it, at the end of the day, if I sell what is in this consignment, he will just abandon it at the port. That's why we have a lot of abandoned cargo in the port also. When you are importing something, maybe you are going to get 20 naira on it, then with your profit margin, everything 20 naira, and still at the port, and you've accrued about 50 naira, you just abandon it there and say, government, I dash you. I'm dashing government. Anything you like, do with it.
All right, Yusuf. Another stakeholder is joining us this morning to shed more light on this issue, and of course, he is Otumba Frank Ojeminite, the National President of the African Association of Professional Freight Forwarders and Logistics of Nigeria. Otumba Frank, welcome to Leadership Podcast Studio this morning.
Welcome. Otumba, are you hearing us? Good morning.
All right, it's like we're having an issue with audio in the connection with Otumba Frank.
Yeah.
Right.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Now, let me ask you straightforward, because I can only imagine what your members are going through in the last 2 weeks with the malfunctioning of the server at the port. Now, let me ask you, what is happening to the Nigeria Integrated Custom Information System?
Hello?
Yes, we are
Hello,
with you.
good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Yes,
all right.
I can hear you.
Let me come again. I said I can only imagine what your members are going through in the last 2 weeks with the developments at the ports in Lagos. Now, let me ask you, let's get a background information. What is happening to the Nigerian Integrated Custom Information System, the single window platform for trade facilitation, cargo clearance at our ports?
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Yeah, the situation is not actually palatable, and there's been a lot of issues. But this particular time is incomparable. For over going to 3 weeks now, the server has been fluctuating, not working, and as a matter of fact, we could not process our SGD, that which is single goods declarations, as in process you go through to pay your duties. And in that case, that seeks that you have to stay more time in the port. And stay more time in the port is detriment to the importer and the freight forwarders. How? That means you have to pay more charges for shipping company and terminal operators. So in that case, we now cry to the customs that we can't continue to do this, because personally, if you don't have money to clear your consignment, you're responsible for paying the rent, which you know that. Now, people are ready to capture their jobs, they couldn't process it. Now, what do you want to do for the people? The customs are not ready to respond to that. And however, I asked them in one of my press releases, why Web Fontaine? You see, you have to break the monopoly. If they break the monopoly, that's the competitions will have a good services. Why should the customs contracted the internet service to one single company since all these days. That's issue on ground. Can you hear me?
So, in a nutshell, like I asked earlier, what is happening to the Nigeria Integrated Custom Information System? It means the monopoly is being monopolized by a single service provider, and that is not
provider.
Yes,
exactly. It's not too good.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you again. I don't know if you have the information. Why should you, the freight forwarders, pay for someone else's inefficiency?
Exactly.
That is the reason why we are taking them to court this time around, because we have to seek justice. You see, in the Maritimes, the stakeholder people, they are used to flaunting directives. Take, for instance, with the pandemic, the federal government gave the terminal and shipping operator directive not to collect rent from the people, from the importers. They went ahead, they flaunted the government directives through MPA. So we realized going through all this process, we will not be able to seek justice. So we now decide that this time around, they need to be responsible for the rent, for the customs have to be responsible for that. Remember before 2006, or before the concessions, when something happens, the customs will write to MPA to waive the rent. But since then, it has been an exploitations. It has been exploitation, and sometimes, in my own perspective, I'm a member, we look at deliberate actions to exploit us. Because we expect improvement from the web frontier at this particular time. Because there is time of Asikuda. Now, if they are not, take the contract away from them, break the monopolies, but nobody is responsible. As I'm talking to you now, they could not even come on press release that this was actually happened. Even the Deputy National Public Relationship Officer for Customs, which is what his name, Timmy, Timmy Bamodi, he says that they don't know what is happening to the web frontier. And we are going to be carried across. The importers will be in the mess. A lot of people live on loan. What do you think is going to happen to their consignments? So we are not, and to be honest with you, some of the importers too, they don't even know what's going to the port. At the end of the day, they blacklisted the freight forwarders. So how do you explain this to the people? And they are not being communicating to the world that we are responsible to this. So apology will not solve this. They need to replenish the people rent, even compensations. So we decided to go on litigations to address the situation of things. We can't continue to live in this way. So that's my take on that.
Many thanks to you, Otumba Franks Ogun Jeminite, the national president of the African Association of Professional Freight Forwarders and Logistics of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us this morning at the Leadership Podcast Studio in Abuja.
Thank you.
All right, Yusuf, we need to allow you to attend to the hustling and bustling of Lagos. Thank you for joining us this morning at the Leadership Podcast Studio. And of course, Yusuf Babalola is the national economy correspondent in Lagos. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Welcome back. Still inside Nigeria for Friday, August 20. And while we're on break, our analysts are just working. Senator Iroegbu is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a journalist. Senator, welcome to Leadership Podcast today.
Good morning, buddy. Good morning.
Good morning.
You are no longer new here. You have debuted before.
Yes.
So we do a recap of our first paper today so that we can have some say. Now we go back to the front page of Leadership this morning, and of course,
hopeless and helpless things have become, because in as much as I'm trying to understand the governor for his aspiration, what he's calling is for a state of anarchy, and he's indirectly relinquishing the role of the state in protecting the citizens. Yes, self-defense is in fact is a natural law, because without even him telling anybody, people should be able to, in the absence of state protection, should be able to find a way to protect themselves. It's a natural law, but it shouldn't excuse government from playing their role, which by social contract, Nigerians have, by that social contract we have with government, we have relinquished our security, everything to the government. So that social contract compels the government to protect, and that's their number one job, security of life and property. And that's why our president is first called the commander-in-chief. He's the number one chief security officer. The same thing with the states. But you can see that the states governors are only in theory. And that's why he's crying, so I can understand. And that's why most of us have been calling for restructuring state policing and community policing that is independent from centralized command security architecture we have, so that you can easily be able to independently deal with security challenges that crop up from your locale. So, like similar to what the Minister of Defense have said before, even T.Y. Danjuma has made, and so many prominent, it's only an indictment on the government itself, especially the federal government, that they're not doing enough to protect the life of Nigerians. So the governor is indirectly saying we are helpless and hopeless. That's what he's just saying, that our citizens cannot be defended again. So the government, the federal government, should be able to reassure Nigerians, who also Katsina, whose home state, and symbolic, and that is the home state of the president. So they say charity begins at home. If the president, his own people are so vulnerable, and he's in charge of, he's the commander-in-chief, the president and commander-in-chief of Nigerian Armed Forces, the number one chief security officer, and their own home state are so helpless in this situation, it beggars belief.
Winifred, for want of time, I think we have only one more paper to take before we end this segment. I think it's either Daily Independent or THISDAY newspaper. Of course, okay, THISDAY is on the screen.
Okay. THISDAY today has on its cover Nigerian Governors Forum, 30% frontier exploration, host communities 3%, deplete federation account. Northern Governors Forum are saying that 30% frontier exploration, host communities 3%, deplete federation account.
Yeah, Winifred,
That is on THISDAY today.
NGF is Nigerian Governors Forum, the platform for the whole 36 state governors of the and the federation. If you remember, 2 days ago we talked about this. We were already crying foul about the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act because they believe some of the goodies coming to them hitherto may not be able to come with the new structure of the NNPC. And you see what they are saying now is that with the passage of this law, 30% stake devoted to frontier exploration, and also another 3% for community host communities. We actually make a federation account has less money. So governors are always been concerned about money that comes to states.
Most of us actually have reservation about this
The PIA.
PIA, but not the way the governors are going, not the reason they are giving, because the reason they are giving is against what we are saying. They are being self-centered, they are being selfish, they are being lazy. What we are saying is, I know, first, the 3% for the oil producing community is too low, is too little to be able to make impact on what was proposed initially was 10%. Later, 5% was, and which they should have let. Then,
for record's sake, the 10% was under a different dispensation.
I know.
Under the Iroegbu dispensation.
I know. It's
this
still,
dispensation.
I know.
In fact, it was
it's a modification.
2.5 at the
but
government.
PIB has been on for
Exactly.
so that's what I'm saying. The original.
Oh yes.
We are still saying the same thing. This is a modification, and the 30% they are giving for frontier exploration. I don't think that this should have been a business decision. That is led for maybe the commercialized NNPs to determine where some of his profits will go.
Exactly.
Whether 30% is actually needed for, but you've already pegged it politically, gazetted it, whether it's needed or not, whether they must find a way to
spend
that money. That means you're creating some. That's it. You're creating a dark hole for people to loot, as just mentioned, frivolous projects and tell you're exploring. It can explore in perpetuity. Like what is happening in the Northeast is that you're spending billions and billions, and they've already told you that from geological, you can never get oil in commercial quantity, and you're spending so much. So I think this is a conduit pipe to settle boys and the big men at the top. Now, my own opinion is we are just going round. We are beating about the bush. Because from what the governors are saying, already what we have, the oil revenue cannot be able to even handle our problem. And nations all over the world are discovering oil day by day. The oil is becoming not as lucrative as it used to be. Nations are divesting to other means of so as the more the years go, the more so this over depending on oil is going moribund. Then my main this thing is that instead of all this, give state complete control of their resources. Let them handle it as it is. Other lazy governors that are talking have other resources. They can go and, if you don't have, think. Japan don't have oil. Most of these developed countries, Belgium, Netherlands, all of them, they don't have oil.
They are also incapacitated by some constitutional hindrances. For example,
that's what I'm saying.
Mining is in the exclusive list.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this restructuring we're talking
exactly.
about.
So that we can
solve all this, so that all this they are doing piecemeal. Even if you give oil company 15%, it will not still give them. Let them take. If they want to waste their resources, it's left for them. Restructuring. Let each state or each region take control of their resources. That's it.
All right. Many thanks to you, Senator Iroegbu. Senator Iroegbu is an Abuja-based journalist and a public affairs analyst. Although you will still be with us for this next segment of Inside Nigeria. Well, viewers, will go on a short break. When we come back, INEC National Commissioner Barrister Festus Okoye will be joining us for a different matter, the forthcoming November 6th Anambra governorship election. We'll be right back now.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. It's still Inside Nigeria on this Friday morning, and of course, Senator Iroegbu is still with us to discuss the Anambra governorship election slated for November 6, 2021. Senator, I know you've been following events regarding the Anambra State governorship election, and so far, just barely 10 weeks to the election, what we have seen so far is the battle for the control of some political parties involved in the election and tickets of some political parties. So most of these parties and persons have actually dedicated more energy on litigations rather than electioneering campaign for the election. What do you think is responsible for this?
I think it's the absence of internal democracy within those political parties, which has been a problem over time for a long time, and it's at the root of most of the major crises and the stunted growth of our democracy. Because if they don't get it at the party level, then it will reflect on the nation as a whole. And that's why you see that instead of most governors, they come to office through controversial means. Instead of concentrating to govern their state, they spend large percentage of that defending the mandate in the law court, dissipating state resources in the process, and their opponents also dissipating whatever donation they must have get through some questionable means, hoping if they eventually get, they will now start dissipating the same state resources to recoup and repay those they owe. So it's something that is a crying shame that it is happening, and especially in Anambra State, where a lot of progress have been made in the past and the template has been laid. I think by now they should have grown past that with experiences. What happened during Gige, then P2P, Obi had to pursue his mandate to the Supreme Court twice. You know, so I don't think this is something the party should put their house in order, and I wish there's a way the court or the INEC should make this intervene to ensure that going forward it will be Senate system. So, and the courts also should help, because I don't understand where something that is happening in Anambra, someone will go to Jigawa State to shop for court judgment, Jigawa State, and that means it's something that is not well for our politics.
Yes, Senator, that's what I want to ask. How come this is more rampant? This situation is more rampant in the south than as opposed to the north.
Are you sure it is?
You don't have certain
because you have
political
parties
exactly
for political position in one place than the other.
Feeding maybe
Nigerian
2 or 3
politicians are the same.
Yeah, the same. Look at Zamfara State.
If one
how did the PDP end up getting Zamfara? It's the same thing.
Yeah, but it's rare. It's minimal compared to the southern part of the country, where you have, even if they enter the
position, current president we have now before he became president, he was always going to court, even though when he completely lost. He didn't reach out. It's until he merged with other parties.
No, I'm talking about.
No, what I'm saying is that it's not even a regional thing. It's the political character of our politician. Do you understand? Yes, I may agree with you, but I don't want to go that route because it applies all the whole across the country because of the political system. Yes, it can be. It may be when you compare ratio, bit rampant in this, but you can still see, if you do some analysis, you still see the same situation across the country, be it every part of the country. Is this it was a former president Olusegun Obasanjo that coined that word "do or die." He said it must be a do or die affair, that his candidate must win. So, and that is the character of average Nigerian politician. They want to win at all costs. And the system that gives so much loophole, whereby you see someone that came forth in an election suddenly became a governor. emboldens a lot of people that if this kind of miracle can happen, then I stand a chance. So from that party primary, they already begin to sow a seed of hope. Somebody who may never have a chance in the ballot box can, through court process, all this kangaroo judgment, sow a seed that may give him the governorship when another person have won it for him. So that's the problem. Because with what is happening now in ABGA, in PDP, which is the most chronic cases now, eventually nobody knows who will become the governor after the election. Let's assume now ABGA finally win the election. Someone who may not be in the ballot box now may eventually become the governor tomorrow through the instrumentality of the court. And it may be because people did not vote him. People may have voted the party based on the candidate that was on the ballot at that point.
Senator, we need to talk to one of the principal, actor in the whole of this matter. We have been joined this morning by Barrister Festus Okoye. Barrister Festus Okoye is the INEC National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education of the Commission. Good morning, Barrister Festus.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. You're joining us this morning at the Leadership Podcast Studio.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Barrister Festus, bring us up to speed as to the level of INEC preparedness regarding the Anambra November 6th governorship election, which is barely 10 weeks away.
Well, as you know, the Commission released the timetable and schedule of activities for this particular election in January to give the political parties enough time to conduct their party primaries, enough time to conduct their campaigns, and also enough time to resolve whatever challenges they have at an internal level. All the political parties have conducted their party primaries. They have uploaded the list and personal particulars of their nominated candidates on our INEC nomination portal. We have published the personal particulars of the candidates in the constituency where they intend to contest the election, in this case being Anambra State. And then we have also released the final list of substituted candidates because under Section 35 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, political parties have the right to substitute some of their candidates. In other words, if a candidate that was previously nominated withdraws in writing to the political party that nominated him, that particular political party can present a fresh name so long as the nomination that was made in the first place was validly made. But other than a candidate withdrawing voluntarily, no other candidate can withdraw except the candidate dies, in which case the political party can substitute under Section 32, under Section 33 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. So we have just released the list of candidates that have been substituted and also released the list of some of the candidates that have rejoined the race based on the judgments and orders of various courts of law. So that is where we are.
All right, Barrister Festus, the updated list which you just released yesterday, Winfred?
Yes, the updated list has ABGA candidate Soludo on the list. But what happens to PDP? PDP zone is empty, it's vacant.
Well, you know that what we released yesterday is the list of substitute candidates and replacement of candidates by court order. In relation to the PDP, the political party uploaded the name of Okoye as their gubernatorial candidate for the election. Then thereafter, there was a court order saying that the PDP as a political party should submit the name of a different individual to the commission as the candidate of the party. The PDP has not carried out that particular court order. However, the Court of Appeal made an order for accelerated hearing of the matter involving the PDP, and also gave an order that the commission should not publish the list of any of the candidates pending the hearing and determination of the appeal that is pending in the Court of Appeal. So there is a possibility that by the time we are publishing the final list of candidates, that the Court of Appeal or even the Supreme Court will have resolved whatever challenges the PDP has. But if there is no candidate, as at the time we are about to print our ballot papers and ballot and result sheets, then we will just leave the PDP as a political party on the ballot without the name of any candidate. And at the end of the day, if the court resolves their leadership challenges or challenges relating to who their candidate is, then we can restore the name of the candidate on the ballot.
All right, Barrister Festus, you are always been known as a non-partisan Nigerian, even before your appointment into the electoral umpire. Now, as a lawyer and election manager, give us your honest opinion as to why do we have this type of crisis in the build-up to elections in Nigeria. We have candidates struggling to get nominated. We have people battling for the soul or leadership of political party only in the build-up to important elections.
Well, let me put it this way. One, there is nothing odious, there is nothing insidious, and there's nothing wrong with an individual or a political party that feels aggrieved approaching the courts for judicial interpretation or for judicial resolution of a particular matter. That is the hallmark of a democratic system of government, rather than individual taking the laws into their hands in terms of ventilating their grievances. So that is at one end. Secondly, political parties have both a constitutional and legal existence in Nigeria. And the law and the constitution also allows them to have internal mechanisms of resolving their disputes. When a political party wants to cut corners, when a political party or some of its members want to do things that are wrong, then they run into this type of logjam that we have. The Section 87 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended requires political parties to conduct free, fair, and credible party primaries and submit only the name of the candidate that scored majority of lawful votes in the primaries as the candidate of the political party. So if a political party refuses to conduct free, fair, and credible primaries, then it leaves itself open to this type of challenge. At another level, we have a situation where people are trying to abuse both the substantive and geographical jurisdiction of various courts of law by going to courts that they know patently do not have jurisdiction over the conduct of party primaries in a particular state. So that's the type of challenge we have. People are trying to engage in what in law we call forum shopping. People are trying to get some of our
There's technical hitch there.
Okay.
the leadership of yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead, sir. We are hearing you.
All right. It's like we're having technical issues with the connection with Barrister Festus Okoye. Barrister Festus Okoye is the INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education of the Commission. He has been speaking with us about developments around the Anambra governorship election.
Okay,
Barrister, you can conclude your thoughts.
I'm back here. Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Yes, so I think that the leadership of the judiciary should intervene and bring some level of sanity and some order to what is going on. And then the leadership of the Bar Association should also intervene because it is our colleagues in the legal profession that are also engaging in forum shopping, advising the politicians on what to do to more or less bring the judiciary to disrepute. So I think that all critical stakeholders must intervene because we cannot carry this into the 2023 election. If we carry what is going on in Anambra into the 2023 general election, it's going to be very disastrous for our democracy, and it may likely lead to a situation where we are going to have breakdown of law and order in some states, if not throughout the federation.
Hello, sir. Are you hearing us, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Barrister, sir, my question is, as a commissioner, are you not worried, sir, that election winners are now determined by the court instead of the ballot?
Well, ordinarily, the people must be the sole determinants of who gets elected and who does not get elected. However, we must also realize that the judiciary is part of the democratic process, is part of the electoral process. The courts and the tribunals do not activate themselves. If you don't go to them, they don't come to you. And so it is when people go and activate the machinery of the judiciary that they intervene to resolve disputes. I believe that the jurisdiction of the courts have been clearly set out. If you look at Section 285 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it clearly and unambiguously defines what a pre-election matter is. So when you go and solve different type of issue before the court, knowing that it's not a pre-election matter, it creates its own challenges. Then for post-election matters, the jurisdiction of the election tribunals are clearly set out. The issues that are supposed to determine, the issues that they are supposed to interface in are clearly set out. So I believe that the judiciary is the guardian of our constitutional democracy, and they are empowered to intervene to make sure that only those who win elections through the ballot box get to assume office. But once in a while, you have a situation where some of our judicial officers go overboard and do things that are not right, and this gives the impression that the judiciary is trying to replace the people as the sole determinants of who gets elected and who does not get elected.
All right, finally, Barrister Festus, before you go, there is one important issue I want you to also share your thought before we allow you to go. The issue of electronic voting. Now, recently, the National Assembly passed the amended Electoral Act 2010. Now we have the new Electoral Act 2021. And the argument back and forth that have greeted the passage of that law by the National Assembly, whether INEC should be allowed to transmit election results electronically, or INEC should be made to consult another agency of government before it can do that, which we all know that it offends the spirit and letters of the 1999 Constitution. But on a whole, share your thought with us about electronic voting in our electoral system.
Well, let me just put, by way of a preamble, put it this way. What has happened is that we have two chambers of the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate passed a different version of the Electoral Amendment Bill, and the House of Representatives passed a different version of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. So what is going to happen now is that each house will nominate some of its members, and they go into a conference committee where they will harmonize the bill. It is after the harmonization and it's being passed, then it will be passed on to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for purposes of assent. So as of today, the extant law, the operative law in Nigeria still remains the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. Having said that, let me also say that we have been very, very clear and we've been honest with the Nigerian people that we have been test running different electronic solutions in relation to the transmission of election results for quite some time. And we are confident that we have the capacity, we have the will, and we have the courage to transmit election results electronically. And that in the few places where we still have blind spots, that we have, we are in consultation and in league with the different service providers, and they have assured us that it is something that can be easily dealt with. But you see, one thing we must understand is that people are afraid that the commission will create one big portal where all results will be warehoused. Our elections are based on a step-by-step basis. You transmit election results from the polling unit to the ward collation center, or what we call the registration area collation center. Then from there, it goes to the local government collation center. And then if it is just a state assembly, then the returning officer for the state assembly will collect and make a return. If it's a senatorial election, it moves to the senatorial district, where the senatorial district returning officer will make a return, we collect and make a return. And then it moves in that trajectory. So I believe that if our people understand what we intend to do, is just to make sure that that gap between the polling unit and the first level of collation is bridged, because that is where all the electoral malpractices, all the electoral years, and all the electoral challenges we have takes place. So we just want to make sure that the votes of the people count, and the votes of the people really counts. And that's the only thing we intend to do. We don't intend to disenfranchise any Nigerian. We intend to make sure that the votes of all Nigerians count, whether they're in the rural areas, whether they're in the urban centers, wherever they are, that their votes will be the only determinant of who gets elected and who does not get elected.
Okay, many thanks to you, Barrister Festus Okoye. Barrister Festus Okoye, of course, is INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education. Barrister Festus, we hope to see you physically in the studio as we approach Osun and Ekiti governorship election.
I will be there. Definitely, I will be there.
And as well, the 2023 general election. Thank you very much for joining us this morning at the Leadership
I really appreciate
podcast.
this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Barrister. Nice having you on.
All right, Senator, you heard Barrister Festus Okoye. We heard from the horse's mouth about the electoral process generally and the Anambra governorship election.
So I think he aligned with my thoughts and really admitted that there is the internal there's a lack of internal democracy is affecting, and there needs to be sanity, especially from the party leadership, and even went as far as I mentioned the court, which emphasized heavily of the Nigerian Bar Association, trying to advise their members from shopping for electoral victory through the law court. And I like your question where you asked him, is he not worried that election are determined by the court
rather than the ballot?
Rather than the ballot, because it's an indictment on their own efforts. Because it seems despite what they did, is they don't have the final say, which is not how the Constitution designed it to be. The Constitution designed it that they should have the final say. They are the electoral umpire. They should be the one declaring victory. But where you're having issue that more cases are determined by court than there is an anomaly. Yes, he noted that it's true that people have the right to go to court to seek redress. But when it becomes a recurring issue or is on the high side, then it becomes abnormal. Right now, we're having an abnormal system or outcome from our election. I know we're growing, but there should be pointers to the fact that we are moving from step A to B, not from step C down to B. We are going back to A, or 1 foot forward, 2 foot backward. We should have shown growth. I thought by what happened in 2015, that by 2019 there should be an improvement on that, but it was not, unfortunately. Then going to 2023, we have advanced, but it's showing that since 2015, we have rather retrogressed to an extent which is not a good testimony. All hands should be on deck. It's not only INEC, but our political culture
must
change, because this is where the culture. I noted this is where the problem starts. This winner by all costs, do or die, winner takes all. If it is not me, must not be any other person. So parties, okay, look at what is happening now, even in the larger picture, in the two dominant parties. There's polarization, there's fragmentation. They are not even getting their house in order, and we have less than 2 years towards the general election. And whatever is happening now will have huge implication to the outcome from even the state down to, because you may have factionalized candidates battling it out, because that's what's happening where you have different factions. This one conduct their different and INEC will end up attending, they divide themselves into 5. INEC will end up attending the same 5 party primaries. So at the end, the court will just decide to do what we don't want a repeat of what happened in the
Thank you very much, Senator Iroegbu. Senator Iroegbu is an Abuja-based journalist and public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us this morning on Inside Nigeria. We also hope to see more of you at the Leadership Podcast today. Winifred, we need to go.
Thank you so much, Senator, for being our guest on today's show.
Thank you, Winifred, and have a wonderful weekend.
All right, viewers out there, thank you for being with us from 10 o'clock to this very minute. Keep a day with us on Monday for a fresh edition of Inside Nigeria. My name remains Body Gbadebo. Bye for now.
Have a good day.